YouTube, what are you waiting for? I'm Josh Sawicki. I'm here talking to you today about budgeting. This is my budget story. In the last video, basically what I did was talked about reasons to start a budget and how you can kind of accomplish more of your financial goals that way. And I'm going to talk to you today about how I got into budgeting. Kobe's here, so he's gonna join in on this video right now. My budgeting story is one that is not so interesting, but it took me a while to actually get there, surprisingly, because as I've said in my other videos, I am a CPA. I went to school for accounting. I got my master's in accounting, and I did the budgeting process and the review of financial statements for years before I actually started taking my own into account. When I was a kid, I was never really taught how to budget. It was basically if I got allowance, I saved it until I got something I wanted. So I guess that's essentially like a way to teach yourself how to budget. You know, you have something that you want to save up for, you put the money into a piggy bank, and then you kind of just go from there. But not necessarily the importance of why I should do a budget or how I should do a budget. That was something I had to kind of learn on my own. I saved up for a car that I wanted to get when I was a teenager. I had odd jobs here and there. Saved up for a car, didn't have to take out a car loan or anything along those lines. And then when it came down to it, I needed to take out school loans. And taking out school loans was something I didn't really understand. I just thought that I would take out school loans and I'd be able to pay them back like almost immediately because I'd be making so much money when I got out of college, which is just total crap. Definitely not the case, but that is what it is. And I didn't understand anything about interest rates and how interest rates would be effective, and what it meant to compound interest and how it all went into the loan and everything like that. So, when I was in college, I think I ended up kind of getting almost 20 grand of compound interest added to the principal. Well, not understanding when I went into the loans how that would work, you're just kind of like, what? Why did this happen? And so this is why it's important to kind of get your finances on track and understand how everything is. Luckily now I'm 35 years old and I have a really good understanding of the concept on how to budget and how to make money work for me. But I had to learn the hard way, essentially. That's what I'm trying to say. My first job out of school, I had to learn how to pay rent. I had to learn how to pay my phone bill. I mean, I'd already had phone bills and things like that, but I had more adult-like expenses. I mean, rent, utilities. My car eventually broke down. I actually had to have a car payment at some point, and I had to figure out how to make it all work for me. And not only on top of that, I needed to learn how to pay into savings to start compounding my savings so that I could have a retirement, and hopefully retire at a younger age. So at the end of the day, it took me a while to figure out how to get here because I didn't actually start tracking my dollars. I just always made sure that I had enough in the bank. But sometimes I wasn't careful enough in tracking it. And I don't know if you guys remember, but at one point, some of the banks were very bad about the overdraft fees when it came to the ATM or pulling cash out. And so I would overdraft a lot and overdraft, sometimes upwards of like 6 times I think there were like $25, $35 penalties for that. But it was the way that the bank was doing it too that they ended up cracking down on. I think Obama, he actually did a good thing there where he kind of went to the banks and said, look, we see that you're taking out the biggest expenses first, even if it's not in the order of transactions. Besides the point, I gotta get off track sometimes. So it wasn't until I got sober, though, that I really understood the importance of budgeting and saving my money. I got sober and I needed to figure out how to make my money work for me because I wanted to start getting ahead in life. Because when I got sober, I wanted to take my life under control, everything. I had spent and lost a lot of money in divorce. Getting divorced actually it was good from a personal perspective, but it was bad from a financial perspective because I no longer I no longer had a shared income on bills or anything along those lines, And not just that, there was expenses that came along with it that I had to pay out. So I kind of basically had to start from scratch after I got divorced again. And I got sober and I moved back to New Jersey. And what I started to do was an Excel document. And I get paid every 2 weeks. So I get 26 paychecks per year. Well, what that means is that 2 months out of the year, I get a third paycheck. But every other month, I need to work and understand how to budget my expenses with 2 paychecks. So those 2 additional paychecks, because 10 months out of the year, I need to figure out how to manage my money on 2 paychecks. I get 2 extra paychecks a year. So that's one of the positive things about budgeting, is learning that you could do things like that. And with those 2 extra paychecks, you could dump them into savings, or you can take a vacation with it, whatever you want to do with it. That's the beauty of it. I also had to start figuring out how to get my 401k into a higher balance. And I had to figure out how to get the stocks that I wanted into a higher balance. And so I would, figure out how much contribution I wanted to put in before tax into my IRA contribution, and Verizon matches as well. So it's a really great thing. But seeing the money that I have every single month and knowing that I'm bringing in this month much, I have this much going out, this is what I have as expendable income, it's very nice, because then I can figure out things that I want to do. I can figure out if I want to, purchase clothes, or go to a show, or, put money into more stocks, or if I want to go, anything I want to do, if I want to save for a vacation. If there's a big screen TV that I want, maybe I can't swing it this month, but hey, maybe in 2 months I can swing it. I mean, you're not making purchases like this all the time, but managing your money and having it under control and knowing what you want to do with it is one of the most liberating things in this world. I don't live paycheck to paycheck anymore because I don't have to. I know that I have this coming in and I'm going to have this going out. And so I manage my cash flow for the entire year as well. What I take into account, everything. I take into account and I budget for my food on a monthly basis. I budget for any miscellaneous expenses that I have. I budget for CrossFit. I budget for Kobe's doggy insurance. I budget for car payments, and everything goes into my budget and my spreadsheet. And right now I have my budget set up through the end of December. So I know, or I have an estimate on what I'm going to basically have in savings at the end of the year, what I'm going to have in my portfolio as long as the stock market continues to kind of trend the way that it's trending and there's no recession, which should probably happen in 2021, but don't take my word for it. And it gives me a greater understanding on what I can really afford. I'm currently looking into purchasing a home, for example, and my current rent is, I think, $1,800 per month. So it's a 1-bedroom apartment. It's $1,800 a month. I know some people are probably like, "What? Why do you pay so much for that?" But it's not that much money, $1,800, because as you're looking into purchasing a home, you could pay upwards of $2,500 a month for a mortgage, even more if you buy a more expensive home. But because I know what I have and because I know what my long-term financial goals are, I realize I don't want to purchase such an expensive home because I want to be able to save more money. Because I want to live my life one day without the restraints of having to go to a career or a job, and I want to be able to travel more, and I want to have the funds to be able to do it. And it's the reason that I budget. I look forward to the day that I don't have a car payment anymore. For example, I pay $600 a month for my car payment. Now, that's not what my car payment is, but I pay extra into the principal every month. And that's the whole point, is to get that loan down faster so that at one point I won't have that. And that'll be a really good day. So my financial story, it's not as, fun or savvy, but essentially at the end of the day, I took my finances under control, because I want to go places like the Grand Canyon. I want to go places like Yosemite. I want to go swim with orca and take an awesome video and look that orca in the eye one day. And I want to have the funds to do it, and I don't want to put myself into debt to do it. I like driving the car that I have. I feel like a king when I drive my car. But I had to figure out how much that was going to cost me if it was really going to be affordable. You know, I like doing things like going out to shows. I'm going to see Come From Away tomorrow night, for example, on Broadway. It's a show I've wanted to see for a while. And, you know, it's just something that if you take your finances into control and you realize that what you can and cannot do, and you're not getting yourself into credit card debt, it is just a liberating feeling just knowing that you have it under control and you don't have to live paycheck to paycheck anymore. Take your life back. Start a budget, stick to it, eliminate the expenses that you don't need, and go from there. I don't buy little things like Starbucks. I don't buy those little extras when I go to the grocery store. I just buy what I need. I mean, my fridge is like a FIFO method at its best. FIFO is an inventory accounting method. It's called first in, first out. So I purchase something, and that's the first thing that goes. And then as soon as it's done, I go get it again. I don't buy more than I need. I don't keep a stock pantry. I try not to keep too much food. And this is a way to kind of take control of your life, because money will control you if you don't control your money. It always will. Money is a stressful, terrible thing that humans created. Man created money, and it's a requirement in today's society. But it's a requirement that we need to worry about, because if we want to live in society and not off the grid, we have to realize that what we have and what we have to use. Anyway, I'm a CPA. If you guys got any questions about your money or anything along those lines, I'd love to talk to you about it. You can grab my thoughts about it, or if you need help start having to figure out how to start the Excel document, or just a general piece of paper with all of your expenses every month and what you're bringing in, just to kind of get an idea. I'd love to help you out. Just reach out to me. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed my video. Hit the subscribe button. Thanks.